Hi, I'm Tom.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Lewis.
This is the Wigan Way, Wigan's favourite rugby league podcast.
He'll put you in his trap, 'cause he's a union man. He's got it all figured out. He won't care what you think, 'cause he's a northern man. He's allowed to speak his mind. His mind.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us again on the Wigan Way. You're joining us after Magic Weekend, but firstly I'm joined again by Matty and Lewis. Matty, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Lewis, you're back after your little gallivanting trip away.
I am. I was down in Cornwall for the half term.
Did you
With the family.
did you watch Cornwall?
I didn't watch Cornwall rugby league team.
I think they're blown away.
They
Yeah.
did. They actually. I saw a stat actually on social media. They made the longest trip, I believe, for the game. It was in driving. Obviously,
Yeah.
flying because they had to go from Cornwall all the way up to Workington.
Workington Town.
948
And it was
miles I've read, didn't they get nilled?
Something like that.
It was a heavy defeat.
It was a heavy defeat.
You know.
That must be the longest journey per points.
Yeah. Well done.
Jet lag from a coach journey.
Well done to
Oh,
them.
I'm so glad Saints didn't have to do that trip. You'll be hear about it in 2028.
Lewis, we talked about Golden Point last week. Just wanted to
Yes.
get your thoughts on it. Quite interested.
Yeah, so I listened to the podcast last week. You were both very good without me in my absence. It would have been better with me, But Golden Point, I get what you're saying. I think, I think a good idea, I can't remember which one of you suggested it, was to do it as extra time rather than Golden Point, because that would encourage you, even if you did drop a goal, it carries on for another however many minutes left
still
in the
gotta
extra
defend.
time, because you still got to defend. The other team then will try and get a try.
It was weird.
It doesn't turn into a drop goal contest. 'Cause I get what you mean. It's there to add excitement, but it doesn't really add excitement because it's just right. The in position they're going to go for it. All right, he's missed, and it's all in position they're going to go for it again. There's no real.
Yeah.
So I think extra time would be a good idea. I think.
But someone mentioned this. I can't remember who commented it on the on our Twitter. I can't remember who responded, so I'm really sorry that I forgot who it was.
Was it Doug Busted?
No, it weren't.
He's never responded after you made fun of his name.
He's gone off the radar now.
He's
Doug
gone.
Busted.
You've made fun of his name on the podcast.
Sorry, Doug.
But what I was saying was, you can still end up with a draw. So, are we in favour of still potentially having a draw after Golden Point or extra time or whatever it is?
Well, if it's a league game, why can it not be a draw?
But then why can it not be a draw after 80?
Well, it can. If it's a league game, that's what I'm saying. If it's
Yeah.
a league game, why not just do 80 minutes after a draw?
Yeah.
But no, go on.
But
We're not rehash this argument again.
Yeah.
We're just putting off talking about.
I do get your point though, because it is. It does turn into a drop goal contest, and that isn't really the entertaining phenomena they sell it as.
no. Right. We're going to have to talk about it, so let's get it out of the way.
Yeah.
We played Catalans. It was poor. Lost by 22 points. Was it 40?
44-22, and that scoreline definitely flattered us. Even though we did score more tries than 22 would suggest, because we did score 5 tries. 5 tries was flattering. I mean, the 5th one was basically a gift on the hooter, wasn't it, for some reason?
Yeah.
Tom Johnson just threw it to Smithies. But yeah, 5 tries was flattering.
For me, it was just not enough go forward.
Yeah.
We got beat down the middle. I felt, not often I feel like this, but we got bullied. I'm going to say a couple of things. We are missing our 2 best forwards, in my opinion, Mike Cooper and Ethan Havard. We've also been missing Brad Singleton, who starts every week if fit.
Well, they're your two starting props, Cooper and Singo, aren't they?
Yeah.
They've both had it
Or
for quite a
one
while
with
now.
Byrne.
Or one with Byrne, I suppose, yeah.
Put on top of that, you're missing Piers Paul, missing Isa. They are big experienced players that we're missing. If you take the 2 best forwards out of any team, take Walmsley and Parsi out of Saints, they're going to struggle go forward.
Well, they were missing Walmsley and Matautia for a while, and they did struggle,
Yeah.
didn't they?
You take out
They're 2 good forwards.
Vaughan and Cassiano out of Warrington, and they'll struggle.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't make any meters without those 2.
We are missing our 2 best forwards, plus a 3rd prop forward, plus 2 back rowers that start for us, and are definitely in the 17. And then
And we're going against Catalan, who let's make no bones about it. Catalan are a good side, at the top of the league
Some
now
big bodies.
for a reason, and they have got a good forward pack.
You've got
They've
McMeekin in second row.
They've always had a good forward pack. McMeekin, I really rate him. He's been playing prop, he's been playing second row. But I do rate a lot of the players. Manu Mao, I wish we'd have signed him. He's such a good player. I've
There's
said
some
that for
big bodies
years.
in that, and I think especially maybe not the starting team with Ellis starting, but if you go to our bench when Hill and December are on, you're asking them to do a job on Takiaho, the former Tonga captain.
yeah.
He's absolutely, he's a big blow. Their bench was Desiree,
Big.
Busquets, like big bodies. Like
Well, their bench was
so no wonder they beat us down. You always knew the Pat were going to struggle in this game.
Well, let's just look at the bench. It was Julian Busquets,
Big lad.
Desiree,
Big lad.
Paul Seguier,
Big lad.
Tyrone May.
He's a half-back.
He's a half-back, but he's played second row for the Panthers.
He's still a big half-back.
He's still a big half-back.
It's a half-back's goal.
Compared to Cade Cust, who is a hooker or a half-back.
Yeah.
Mago, who we're not going to get more than 30 minutes out of at a push. Harvey Hill, is he 18? Junior in December, 18.
Yeah.
But 18, 19 years
19,
old.
18 years old, yeah, both teenagers.
I think suddenly, next week, Saints on Friday, and I don't want to get too much into the preview of that, but you bring Singleton in.
Well, hopefully he's ready for this game. I think he will be.
I
He's
don't-
been named Anthony. The 21
As I said-
squad's been released as we're recording this, and he has been named in it.
As I said last week with Field, I don't think Pete would name him if he had no chance.
Yeah.
So, I think Singleton starts. In an ideal world, I think Ellis comes onto the bench, but suddenly you're looking at your bench then going, let's say he comes in for Hill, the prop forward.
Yeah, probably would.
It's Cust, Mago, Ellis, December.
Yeah.
It's already a bit bigger. It's
bit-
already
yeah.
got a 50-60 minute player on the bench there. I think that just adds so much more, a bit more strength off the bench.
Well, I think when you think about it, the immediate reaction after the game, because of the scoreline, the performance, the fact we've conceded over 40 points, obviously the immediate reaction is anger, it's this wasn't good enough, and it's quite a hostile reaction, if you like.
It's shocking.
But when it's a shock factor matter, yeah, you're right. But when you actually think about this logistically, and you think there we had two 18, 19-year-olds on the bench, Catalan and Noah Walkers, they're a good team, they're now sitting top of the table. If they got to a grand final or a cup final, you wouldn't be surprised. They've got a very strong team with very, very good experienced players. Jay Field, his star player, was coming back after an 8-week absence. He's probably not going to come and hit the ground and set the world light on his first ever game back. It'll probably take him a couple of games to get back into the flow of things.
and we said that's why he had to play this week. Even
Yeah,
if
he didn't want his first game being Saints away coming up. So it was, I think when you actually take a step back from the immediate hostile shock factor of it, and you look at it holistically, and you look at it in terms of and sum everything up, I think you would have seen. We shouldn't be conceding. We're not trying to make excuses. You shouldn't be conceding 44 points, but we knew it was going to be a very difficult game.
Yeah.
I have a couple of points with this. 7 weeks ago, whenever it was, we beat St Helens, we beat Lee, we beat Warrington, and in everyone's eyes, every Wigan fan's eyes, we were best team in the league. Oh, wait until we get these men back and we're going to be even better then. We were best team in the world. We probably weren't that good. We lose 3 or 4 games, and we're now the worst team in the league. We'll never win another game.
Some people have written us off for both competitions already.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Which is absolutely wild. We're not that bad. You are never as good as you think you are, and we're never as bad as you think we are.
We're third in the table. We've beaten everybody who's anybody, apart from Catalan. And we're still in the cup. So
There are teams in far worse positions than us, with less injuries, less players to come back.
I'd rather be where we are than Leeds.
Yeah, look at Leeds.
They made the final last year.
Yeah, and they beat us, and they were going to go on a run and whatever, and they've lost the cast now, which I won't talk about. They lost to us in the Challenge Cup. They're knocked out of that. They're missing. They've got players missing, but it's that everyone's been written off. Harry Smith dominated for 6 weeks, got himself an England call-up, was arguably one of the informed halves in the league, playing as a halfback by himself in that team. Has a couple of bad games, and everyone's saying we should get rid of him.
He's always been a scapegoat, I've noticed, Harry Smith. Whenever things go wrong, a lot of blame gets put on Harry Smith, and I think we've got to remember, how old is he, 23?
He's only 23.
He's still. I think we think he's older than he is because he's been in the squad for a couple of seasons now. But if you remember, that was because we had injuries in the half-back position, And I think it was Lulawai who got injured and he had to come in early under Lamb, and he probably played more games than Wigan as a club and Adrian Lamb as the coach probably saw him play and wanted him to play.
I agree.
Someone has got to take a bit of responsibility off him. He's 23. He's kicking goals. He's trying to steer a team around the park. A team that's not winning the yardage game. A team that isn't at its fluent best.
No, and think about the actual weight of the cherry and white number 7.
7.
Yeah.
We gave him number 7 shirt, which he earned, rightfully deserves it, but
He wasn't playing in there by himself.
it comes with a lot, you know.
And you've got to stick with him. You can't write him off because, alright, he goes through a bad spell of form. He's going through a bad spell of form, but I'm sure he's going to come good again.
I'm riding with Harry Smith as well.
I'm riding with Harry Smith.
Riding with Harry.
He's shown me more than enough to show that he's right, but people want a scapegoat, people want a reason. And I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve some criticism because he's been poor. He's not been at his best for the last 3 or 4 weeks.
And he'd be the first to tell you that he looks frustrated on the field.
Yeah. And if anything, I think he's trying too hard to fix his mistakes. But I honestly saw this as a comment from some fans that we couldn't put blame onto Jai Fields because he was playing on a beaten pack and a pack that wasn't winning, and no half can play on a beaten pack, which I agree with. But then in the same comment, complaining that Harry Smith had a bad game. How can you say a one half can't play behind a beaten pack and then put all the blame on the other one? I honestly do believe that because he is a Wigan lad, he gets so much more criticism.
I think it's hard to criticise your big money Aussie imports, especially when they have performed well for you in the past.
Yeah.
But Harry Smith performed well.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to that again, that kind of shock factor Matty said before people take to it. Like I saw after the Leeds defeat at home in the league, people were quick to point out fouls on the captain and he's lost his legs, but then he comes and scores the winning try after OKR, and it's like, oh, now everything's back to normal. Now they've lost again, he starts getting a bit more stick, and people go, oh, I said a couple of weeks ago, and it's like, when things are going well, everyone's brilliant. When things aren't going so well, everyone looks for a scapegoat to blame, and it falls on certain players more than others a lot of the time.
Just really reactive.
Yeah.
Like, we look at the right side defence, it was poor.
It got peppered.
It got peppered. And Johnston is a great player.
They had Johnston, Matty Cavallo and Whitley going down that side with Tompkins pulling the strings.
That's
Not being
unseen.
funny. That's going to pepper any right edge defence.
But that right side defence was poor. Let's admit it. It was defensively poor, and they made too many mistakes.
We got some reads really wrong.
They were bad at Hull KR the first game of the season. I remember distinctively. We got peppered on that right hand side. Ryan Hall had a field day. Since then, they've shown things up and been very, very good. They've just had a bad day at the office. Like, let's not throw the baby out the pram or whatever the saying is.
Bathwater.
But
Baby out
just
with the bathwater.
just a little bit of a modest response.
Throw a baby out of pram, some things are going to go wrong.
Definitely don't throw a baby out of a pram if you're listening.
But let's just have a reasonable. Imagine if someone's listening to this walking a baby. What? Throw a baby out at pram? But let's have a bit of a shocking day at the office. We're getting some bodies back.
Didn't everyone write Toby King off defensively after the first game? Game 1 against Hull KR. Everyone wrote Toby King off, and then obviously come back into it and played really well.
And been really well and got some deserved credit.
And now he's had a bad game.
He's had a bad game, and there's a rumour that he's going back to Warrington.
We're writing Miski off. I've seen some.
And
absolutely
he's worst player since.
crazy.
Oh, I can't even think who.
David Violecki.
Yeah.
Is that who you were thinking of?
No, I just couldn't think of anyone. But we are so quick to make decisions of people. And in reality, it just needs a reset. Matty Pete will be seeing what's gone wrong. He'll be having a go at the people that deserve to have a go at. The people that need a week off will have a week off. I back Matty Pete to do the right thing.
Well, I read from Farrell that he said basically the day after the players wanted to play that game straight away. They wanted to play Saints on Sunday. That's how up for it they were.
And when we talked about culture a lot in the first couple of episodes and how Matty Pete changed the culture during the 2022 season. We've got this culture now of doing the right thing, and I expect every single person involved and those that weren't involved and weren't in the 17 to be annoyed at that result. Being in the gym, get in the gym and sort things out and go through our training things. Harry Smith out kicking goals. Jai Fields working on his 1-on-1 defensive reads. Things that went wrong and were clearly wrong. I expect that right hand side to be doing so much work defensively. King, Miskey, Field. I think Smithy's played most of the game at second row, but with December.
Smithies and December were the two over there.
Be stepping in there. I just think it's a bad couple of weeks. We lost to Leeds, had the Golden Point Thriller, the Challenge Cup, all that stuff. It's been a bad month. It just needs a reset. Let's go again.
We've been doing it tough, haven't we? We've lost some we lost some big players, and we lost to quite a number of multiple players. We managed to get some big results against Lee, against Wire, Lee then Saints, then Wire.
Yeah.
We then had obviously a bit of a shock to Leeds, managed to bounce back in the cup, managed to beat Hull KR away, which was obviously we lost that in round one and managed to do that. I had to go down to Golden Point in order to do it. We faced a hard team in Catalans at the Magic weekend. We've had another kind of shock defeat. But like you said, we've got to stick with it. You know, there's going to be good and bad points to a season. This was a low point, but we've shown things this season, like the win against Saints at home, like the win against Wire, that shows us we can still win the big games. And we can bounce back from adversity. We did it against Leeds in the Cup, for example.
Yeah. It's weird. We've got Saints next week, Warrington in the Challenge Cup, and then we've got 3 games with a little bit of less pressure, I want to say. Salford away,
Yeah.
Huddersfield at home, Wakey away.
Yeah. And then
hopefully by that time, we'll have possibly Piers Paul. We'll have one of the props back.
Not Havard, I don't think.
Well, they've said Havard in about 6 weeks, haven't they?
Right, yeah.
It's already been 2.
It's a tough one, that though. I mean,
but you know what I mean? We'll be looking at getting players back.
His arm was facing the wrong way, and then they said it was 6 weeks. I just didn't believe that.
Like, it's a dislocation, isn't it?
Yeah.
They are. Sorry, there's a bee flying around behind the back of my head and I'm a little bit nervous. We get them players back and they will benefit us. You can finish 6th and win this comp. We don't have to be perfect now. I get that fans are going to be upset that they've travelled a long way to Newcastle and been let down, but I expect the players to be feeling that way as well.
And I think this is an example of, we talk a lot about Wigan on this podcast, but we also talk about Rugby League and Super League as well. And I think Magic Weekend, and we're going to come on to review the games in a bit, but the results we saw and the results we've seen over this season show us Super League is getting much more competitive.
Yeah.
Hull KR's beat Wigan, Catalans have beat Wigan, but then we've been and beat Saints who've lost a couple of games this year. And there's teams that Salford are no easy walkovers now, and they're upsetting a couple.
Who was it who tweeted there's 11 clubs that could still win the grand final? Was it Phil Clark said that? There's 11 clubs that could still make the grand final or win the grand final or something. Somebody said it always makes for a much better Super League season when there's not a team adrift at the top. Now there's one adrift at the bottom, but there's no team adrift at the top. Anyone could still beat anyone.
Which is good. It's an exciting league. I'm not saying that makes up for the result, and obviously it doesn't hurt when you lose. I'm not saying that, but this is evidence of a good, strong competition, which is a game, is what we want. And
it's weird. I'm looking at other teams in the league at the moment, and we'll go on to them. KR have lost 3 of their last 8-9 games. Been the form team in the league.
Yeah.
And they're not even in the top 7. They're not in the top 6. They're 7th.
Hull KR couldn't they have gone top if they beat us in the Golden Point game?
Yeah.
And
now they're outside the top 6.
Yeah, they're outside the top 6. Yeah.
Huddersfield were expected to do great things. They're sat 10th.
We'll talk about these teams in a bit.
It's just.
I mean, I've got something to say about Huddersfield.
A bit of a proportional response.
Save it for the next part.
like I say, just a bit of a proportional response. Warrington had won the league in April. Now they've had a few bad results. Lost to Warrington, lost to Hull, lost to Lee, lost to Wigan and Saints 5-6 weeks ago. And so there's question marks.
Well, the Warrington, yeah. Well, talk about that in a bit as well.
Yeah, just a bit of a proportional response. We're still getting results. Still won the Challenge Cup game, even though we're in this dreadful run of form. Still beat Hull KR.
Yeah, we had a terrible month. It's a weird one, isn't it? We had a terrible month. And yet we're 3rd and we're still in the cup.
Yeah.
So,
and we've got Fields back now.
What a chance. And we're only 2 points off the top.
4, I think.
Is it 4?
I'll just have a check.
It can be because Catalan.
Oh no, it's 2. Yeah, so they're on 20.
Catalan went top and they were below us at the beginning, so it must only be 2.
2 points, and it's scary that we could lose. If we lose, there is chance that we end up outside the top 6. But
we've just got to outlast these teams. We said this before.
we've got a squad. We've got a squad that we were happy with at the start of the season. Now, there's been some bad injuries, but things will come right. I'm more than confident we'll get the top 6, and we take it from there.
Yeah.
If you get top 6 in the playoffs, you're fine, because you've got a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's a little bit of panic, some bad results, and we've just gone into a little bit of too much of a panic, in my opinion, where reality is we'll be a better side in a month.
Yeah.
But I think that's everything to say about the Wigan Catalans game. Catalans played really well.
We've got to give credit to Catalans.
Respect to McNamara and his team, because he set them up nicely and they really delivered.
Yeah. Tompkins in the house is still quality. I know he's retiring at the end of the year.
But they're loaded up for a big run this year.
Yeah.
Some of the players are kind of coming towards the end. Tompkins obviously definitely is, but thinking Pierce as well. Like some of them French forwards can they going to go another year or whatever. There's some players here where
Some experience, a lot of experience and a lot of...
this is their window now. They're at what should be their peak. They've got a very strong team. Catalan are, I mean, like you said before, Lewis, if they make both finals, I wouldn't be surprised. They're a really good team.
There's no shame in losing to them. Look at the packs. Johnston, Davies, Ikavalu. Wow. Some team that.
Archie Morgan at fullback. He's a young, exciting player. So yeah,
If they'd have just outlasted Warrington in the cup, you could have seen them going all the way, and they only just lost that game. They were a narrow defeat away from beating Leeds. They were a narrow defeat away from beating Warrington the first time. I mean, they could be 6 points clear and still in the cup. I wouldn't have been surprised if they'd have won both competitions. I certainly wouldn't be surprised now if they ended up finishing top or got to the grand final.
Definitely. I just think they're a quality side.
they can beat anybody on the day.
Yeah.
They'd have turned up. They'd have turned up against whoever playing the way they did, because they played a really good game.
They'd have
Probably would have beat them.
They'd have beaten every team at Magic Weekend on Saturday.
But the same
Play
goes,
like this.
the same goes for us. If we'd have turned up better and they'd have been a bit off the pace, we could have won that game 40 points to 22, because we got the try scoring ability and we've got the defensive work. We've had an off day. They've had a really good day. They deserved the win. They were the best team there. Arguably one of the most impressive teams of the Magic Weekend. Saints put a good performance in, and Leeds put a good performance in, and whatever. But they were the ones I was most impressed with. I think full credit goes to
Catalan got the best
Catalans
win.
there.
Catalan got the best win.
When are they gonna start looking about how much money they can spend because of the cap rules in France?
You can't change the salary cap just because of different tax rules in France. If they're going to be in this competition, they're going to play by the same rules as everybody else.
I just look at their squad and I think that they get to spend more ultimately. But that's a debate for a different time, that I think. But doing really good things. Nice to see Navarrete, ex-Wiganer.
Yeah.
When did he go back to Catalans? Is it this season?
Yeah. Well, when Toulouse got relegated, I think.
Right, so he went to the... Again, was relatively impressed with him, thought he did well.
But he's a solid player, isn't he?
Very much
He was
so.
never anything less than solid for us, or anything more, really, but that's what we needed at that time.
Yeah. Right, thank you for listening to the first section. We'll be back to look at the rest of the Magic Weekend. Thank you for coming back. So, as we said, it was Salford KR, the first game up at Magic Weekend. Before we get into the game, should we have a little quick chat about the Magic Weekend? IMG have said that it's staying for a little bit, staying up in Newcastle. Would you keep Magic? Is the first question I'm going to ask you, and then would you keep it in Newcastle? Matty, you want to start off?
I think it was a really successful Magic Weekend. It seems like it was well enjoyed. We spoke last week about not knowing many people who were going, but I think people seem to enjoy it. The crowds were bigger than I expected, I'll be honest. It seems like it went down well. There was a lot of good games. Not sure Newcastle is the answer every year. I don't think anyone's the answer every year. I'd like it to move around like it used to. But I think it'd be a shame to lose it from the calendar, because it is a nice weekend. And it's something unique as well. Because whenever I speak to people who don't follow rugby league, which is a lot of the time because I live in Liverpool, they do mention Magic Weekend as one of the only real things they know about, because it's so interesting, it's so unique. They don't have it in other sports, really.
One follow-up question then. Would you keep it in the same format? Would you keep it as a league fixture? Would you keep it maybe the way that the NRL do it, where it's 8 games, and have it as the last 16 of the Challenge Cup?
Could be. Could be.
Would you keep it the same as what I'm saying?
I would still have normal matches. I wouldn't do 9s. I would have normal matches. The last 16 of the Challenge Cup's an interesting idea. They used to do the 6...
Two games on a Friday. Or start earlier.
They used to do the 6 games plus a championship game, didn't they? Like
when it first started.
A good championship game. But I think, yeah, the last 16 of the Challenge Cup sounds like a reasonable idea to me. It's about the right time in the calendar. They wanted something different, didn't they? Because they want the Challenge Cup to be earlier. They want the Challenge Cup final to basically be now, which is what it was like last year, and I really enjoyed that.
Maybe 2 games on a Friday night.
You'd have to move Magic Weekend earlier, but then you're worrying then about interfering with the football season. So you're then thinking, well, Magic Weekend should be later. And if you're having the Magic Weekend after the Challenge Cup final, it can't be the last 16.
Yeah. Obviously.
So I think if I've just talked myself into it being a normal round of fixtures now, haven't I?
Pretty much.
But I don't know how you make the games more fair.
I saw something, and it was a potential. Don't know how it was to be decided, but basically said, could you not play it as the last round before the playoffs, and you play as it stands that week, first v second, third v fourth, fourth v fifth, first v second, third v fourth, fifth v sixth, and that could decide who gets a home tie in the playoffs. You've got a relegation battle, the final game, maybe something like that.
There's some teams there who are going to have nothing to play for.
Potentially, but you're looking at 7th and 8th.
The problem for it at the minute with me is 4th place from last year plays 2nd and 5th place plays 7th. That's a massive swing. We've spoken about this before. I don't know how you make it a fair crack. I'll be honest. But, you know, it just seems a bit wrong.
A good couple of years ago, they used to do derbies, didn't they? And that's
Yeah.
kind of, I know it's gone on obviously with Bradford, obviously in the state of the clubs, you can't really do a Leeds Bradford anymore. But you could try and match him up so it's like, I don't know, Wigan and Saints, a Salford Lee, a KR versus Hull, a Leeds Huddersfield, something like that.
But the problem was, you ended up with Wire, who don't have a natural rivalry, because they do with Wigan and Saints.
Well, Widnes is
But they used to have
natural
Widnes.
rivalry.
And when Widnes were in Super League, good that they played against Widnes, but they were far the superior team and were instead battling out with Saints in an extra game.
Yeah, so the extra game, this is where it became not fair. The extra game that you're getting to play, your 23rd game it used to be, or 27th now, whatever it is, ours was always against St Helens, and St Helens was always against us. Whereas Leeds were maybe getting an easier fixture, or Warrington were getting an easier fixture every year. They were all playing Salford when they weren't very good. So that was the problem with it, and that's why they went away from the derbies, I think. Besides Catalan having nobody to play, I think that's the reason they went away from derbies.
I used to always feel like one of the whole teams was doing significantly better than the other.
Yeah,
but that varied.
Yeah, but the whole derby and the Wigan Saints thing, and Leeds Bradford when that was a thing, you could get behind those being games, but it was just that there were some teams who always got an easy fixture because they had no rival that was close to them in the league.
But let's go on to this game. 2 teams that seem to be very similar in position. They're both playing an attractive style of rugby. They're both on the way up. Salford and Hull KR. Salford came out 26 points to 16. Lewis, what do you think of the game?
I thought it was good. Like you've just said, then it's 2 teams you'd enjoy watching. If they were playing on TV, you'd tune in to watch them because they play a nice style of rugby. 2 kind of attacking teams. For me, it was a bit of a shock result. I was backing KR just because of how they've been this season. I thought they'd have too much for them, so I think Salford's done well to get a win. But it was a really good game and some really nice tries on show in this game, I thought, as well.
Yeah, some lovely tries. This one should have closed out the day, I think, really.
I thought it was a bit of a... I know I thought they wanted to do an opening firework display type thing, but I think this was a good main event type thing.
It made sense why Wakey and Lee was the first game on Sunday. Hull Wire was a good game to finish the day.
I mean, Leeds and Castle we'll talk about in a bit, but it was a fantastic game in the end. But on paper, I was thinking, Salford and Hull KR, these are 2 really entertaining teams. Get them on last.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know why they made that decision. It might be something to do with the number of fans, particularly that Salford would have been taken to Newcastle. I don't know.
I hadn't thought of that, yeah.
But they were both up for this game. Some very entertaining tries, like you mentioned, Lewis. I thought Joe Burgess' try was fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah.
that play from Croft.
Really fantastic.
Because he steps out from 9, nuns
Yeah.
it. I can't remember who was at mark, but it was poor defensive from him to let Croft through. But then he puts on the afterburners and breaks through the line.
And Burgess catches
And
up.
Burgess, again, doing what he does, using his pace, reading it very, very well.
And then Chris Atkin with the final try. That was good work from Croft
Yeah.
again, and a couple others. I thought it was really fantastic, fantastic play. They did take 4 shots at a penalty goal from Sneed, which was a bit boring and a bit like, oh, we're doing all this entertaining rugby, but you're going to keep having shots at goal. I don't blame them, but it
There was a couple that I thought, because there was one with about 20 seconds to go at half time.
yeah, losing 8-4 or something like that. They were 4 points
I think
down.
it was 10-6
Yeah,
they were
they were
losing, and I thought,
4 points down.
fair enough, makes sense, rather than just having one Hail Mary attempt. The one thing I've wrote is I get the feeling with Salford that they can score from anywhere.
Yeah.
I think if they can tighten up the defence a little bit, I said that it was mostly good defence, but there was some poor one-on-one misses.
Yeah,
in
well, the try George King scored was pretty soft.
Yeah.
I thought, and they probably had a chance to stop Hall for his try as well.
I just think if they can sort that out, they've got points in them.
Oh,
Points
yeah.
everywhere. The same thing that we said about Lee about 6-7 weeks ago.
Yeah.
They've got points in. They just need to tighten that defence up, and I think they have. If Salford can just tighten that up, they're a threat to anyone because they can score from everywhere.
I'm
The
with you.
pace in the back line they've got, Budgie, CO, Brayley, they're lightning. Really, really fast. Really, really got a lot of pace about them. But KR, a couple of questions about how they finish games and how they complete games. Obviously lost out in Golden Point to us. Didn't finish in the last 10 minutes brilliantly in this game.
Well, they're missing their general, really, which is Jordan Abdul.
But are they
They're
missing
missing.
anyone else, really, other than that?
But he's the one who's going to be the one game managing, isn't it?
But
It's a lot to put on. It's a lot to put on Mikey Lewis. But you're talking about, in particular, game management and
Yeah.
the poor decisions they made at the back end of the game against us that let us go down and equalise with Miskey.
I'm just looking at the team, though. They've got Coote in there, Kenny Dow,
Yeah,
Opacek.
they've plenty of experience, but
Hall.
that game manager
Yeah.
would be Abdul, wouldn't it?
Maybe Parcell could step up there
yeah,
a little bit, or
I think
Coote,
so.
because Coote's got a very good kicking game. on him.
It'd be one of them two, I think, to manage the game.
I think the next win for KR in the back where they left off a couple of weeks ago. I don't
Yeah.
think it's panic time.
No, I don't
they've
think
had
it's panic
They've
time.
lost to us in Golden Point. They've had a tough result. Salford are again a good team.
I think it's
Although I did back KR, like I said before, I'm not completely surprised. I don't think it was necessarily an upset or whatever that Salford's won, or a big upset, should I say.
I think
Yeah.
it's a similar
One win
thing.
puts them back to it.
Similar place to us. They're missing the key man. When he's back,
They're
get a
back-
couple
back
of wins.
soon, won't it?
Yeah, get a couple of wins. Momentum changes. Then everyone forgets about the 3 or 4 games you've lost.
Yeah.
Right. The last thing I want to talk about is Dean Hadley. He got a yellow card. I thought it was a little bit late. I thought it was high. I thought it was a penalty. A yellow card? Do we really think that's a yellow card?
I don't think it was the other.
I don't think it was a yellow card, but they are clamping down at this. I'm not saying just because the clamping down makes it the correct
Yeah.
call, but they are clamping down at the late shots on kickers and
But-
after passes and things like that.
But that for me, he's got to put the kick pressure on him. He's not timed it. It's a penalty. That'll do. Move on. Penalty. Sneak kicks 2 points from in front of goal. The fact that he's give a penalty away and then sin-binned him, I thought it was a tiny bit high. I thought he caught him on the neck. But he's not knocked his head off. He's not come in with a swinging arm and tried to smash his head into next week. I just think that's a bit of a... It's harsh. I thought it was harsh.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that.
You've been
I think you'd have
penalised
been happy just with a penalty. The sin bin was a bit low, really.
in that way of you've been penalised. Steve gets 2 points. Oh, by the way, you're now going to defend for 10 minutes with 12 men. I was like, and you're not playing Wigan who can't score against 12 men. A different matter, but right.
I just had a look on Twitter there about Jordan Abdul, and the last 3 tweets are by Hull KR actually about Jordan Abdul because he's just signed an extension till 2026
Today?
Today,
Oh,
so that's good for them. It appears like he'll be back next week, but he's signed a deal till 2026 to stay at
Again,
Craven Park. So
doing
good.
the right things. They've obviously brought in Gildar.
Yeah.
Um,
Gildart was named on an extended bench this week for the
Fins.
the Dolphins.
Did the Hammer play? I can't remember.
Hammer's playing. Yeah, Hammer's playing this week. But yeah, the Gildart named on the extended bench. That's an interesting one. But yeah, They've signed Gildart for next year, replacing Kenny Dowell, who's sticking around, as we spoke about a couple of weeks ago.
As a coach, I just think we're getting everything right. The only question is obviously who plays the wing, because they've got a lot of centres there. Opacek's a centre, Gildart's a centre, Corey Hall's a centre.
Well, Corey Hall could play on the wing.
I thought they'd signed him as a centre. That was my thought.
I don't know. I think Hall can play both.
But some good signs. Right. Next game was Leeds 24, Castleford 26. Now, 17 minutes left in this game. Leeds are winning by 10 points, 24-14.
Yeah.
And they end up losing 26-24. Some standouts for Cass. Gareth Widdop actually named in the team of the week at full-back. He'd been playing in the halves up until a couple of weeks ago. Put in a brilliant performance, I thought, Widdop.
Widdop was amazing.
He was involved in everything. His hands were really, really good when he went to the line.
This is the Widdop I've been waiting for.
If he plays like that, they will get more wins.
Could be a key move, that one up to full back for them to help them get another couple of wins up.
And they've moved obviously got Miller in the halves with
Broadbent
in the halves. I think that's a better way of getting him into the game. And I think he gets your key men into the game. Obviously, Evans is injured, isn't he, still? Be interesting to see what happens when Evans comes back.
Weird one, like I've heard Hull KR are adding up Evans to replace Coote. Oh yeah, Peter Hickey signed for the money.
Yeah, to play full back.
Well, I don't know.
No, that's what they said, to play full back to replace Coote. But then he's a centre if he's not playing on the.
Yeah.
So
they just play 15 centres.
Like us playing Willie Amster at centre.
Yeah.
Just play as many second rows as we can. One thing I did want to talk about was the winger for Cass. I think his name was Wallace.
Oh yeah.
He made a great try down the left hand side.
That was a brilliant try. Yeah, I was really impressed with that.
I thought it was a poor attempt from the Leeds man. One comes across and just makes a swipe at his ankles, and he doesn't even look like he's in the same postcode. But the Leeds winger I want to talk about, Daryl Olafert.
What was he doing?
He gets the try. First try of the game.
5 minutes in.
Was it about 5-6 minutes in?
I think it was 6 minutes.
They go 6-0 up, and he gets up and just gives it the shush.
To his old team fans.
Yeah.
Castleford Tigers fans.
I've imagined he's dreamt about this moment. Last minute of the final game of the Saturday Magic, I'm going to dive in the corner, win as the game, I'm going to get up in front of the Cass fans, give them the shush because they've been giving me some stick. And in reality, they're attacking in the first half to the Cass end, where the Cass fans are.
10 minutes.
In the opening 10 minutes.
He's found himself with the ball.
He gets a bit of a walking try. And I think he must panic, because to give that shush, you have got to put in a Billy Slater level performance.
It's so
after
early.
that.
And then to miss the one-on-one tackle when he's out wide in the second half, to let Cass back in the game, and then a dreadful read on the try that wins him the game as well. It was awful. I mean, you could almost say that the rugby gods were making up for Daryl Olfert's shushing his old fans there.
But it's not like he's the form winger.
By make two horrendous decisions on the wing in the second half.
If he was like massively in form and was annoyed that Cass had let him go, maybe I'd get it.
I don't think it was like that.
I don't. That's what. It just doesn't make sense to me to give that sort of reaction, and then not have the perfect game.
Well, you got to back it up. Once you do that, you've got to back it up.
Miss a tackle to let Gary score, and then
okay.
completely whiff on the read for Mellor's match-winning try.
It's really, really, it's a brave thing to do with it. But Leeds, they are now. Cass have only got 3 wins. They've beat Wakey once and beat Leeds twice. From the Leeds that beat us at the DW 4 weeks ago,
This was a different story.
This is a different team.
Yeah.
They are so disorganised in attack. Sometimes it comes off like it did against us, and then, like in the Cass game, at times it didn't look like they could ever string a couple of decent passes together. I think that is why they are so inconsistent. Their attack is so disorganised and so inconsistent and off the cuff that you can't put performances back to back.
It's very ad lib, isn't it? And eyes up. I don't know if they really have a structure. I don't know if they play for positions to put plays on. If it's just right, play fast, offload, and play whatever's in front of you type thing. And
but
like saying, if you're not playing fast, if you're not winning the ruck and getting you quick play the balls, it's very hard to do that. You need some structure. You need some players.
I just think the best teams play like that. But when it's not working, have some structure to go back to.
Yeah.
I just think you've got to have some structure that you can go, right, things aren't working. we're not in the right places and it's all falling apart. Let's just go back to this structure of we'll run these lines, run these plays, and when it starts to click again, we can go back to playing. They just don't seem to have that structure to go back to, in my personal opinion.
A couple more things I liked about Cass in this game. We had some friends around who commented on how good the Castleford shirt was.
Yeah, it was very nice.
That's interesting. It was a nice
I
shirt.
like the lead shirt, the fact that they've done it for Donny Weir.
Yeah, Doddy Weir's sons were interviewed by Barry McDermott and they made him look like me. They were massive, his sons. And Andy Last was absolutely loving it. He looked like, if anyone's a golf fan, when Shane Larry got a point to the Ryder Cup, his arms just went crazy. He was screaming into the camera. That's basically what Andy Last was doing at that final try.
I've just thought about it, and I'm sorry for throwing you under the bus here. Are Cass now safe?
What have they got? 6 points?
6 points.
6 points. And they've got to play...
They've got to play Wakey again.
So it's... So it's in their hands.
Even if Wakey win that,
Yeah.
can they win another 2?
Yeah. I know.
I just think Cass will win another game somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, do they have to play Leeds again?
I don't know if they've got to play
I
Leeds
bet they
again.
do, actually, because they've not played them at Headingley yet, so I bet they'll...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You never know. I think Castleford will be still looking over their shoulders, but only because there's nobody between them and Wakefield as of yet.
Yeah, I agree.
I can see him getting a couple of wins.
I think they'll get another. I think they'll
I mean,
finish
they've had some good
double figures.
performances.
They'll finish double figures.
Moving Widdop to full back could be a big thing for them. So I think they're going to have a couple of wins in.
I can't see Wakefield
I think
getting double figures, so Castleford, yeah.
I think they're safe as well, because I can see Wakefield going down. But we'll get on to that. I can't see that.
Well, let's go on to it, onto the Sunday now.
Okay.
The first game of Sunday. I actually messed up when I was making my notes. I found Wakey winning because I played Trinity versus Wakefield. And
they wouldn't win that. Wakefield wouldn't beat Wakefield.
But Lee have won 30 points to 4 against Wakefield.
Yep.
Some big moments to talk about. First thing, they panned to some Wakefield fans in the crowd, and they I think it was like 8-0 or 10-0. And they're just like, yeah, this is what we expect.
This game is over.
It honestly felt like as soon as Lee scored, game over. Might as well go home now. Give them 30 and we'll just go home.
It must be so good. The players must feel like that.
Yeah,
A try
exactly.
must go in early on and they must just score. Here we go again. And it must be so hard for them to bounce back.
And it was
in this
Lachlan
way of
Lamb
form.
scoring early.
But-
And it was definitely obstruction, but Lachlan Lamb scored early from long range, and that was it. And then it was 10-0 after a blink of an eye.
Before we even go into the tries, to make it even worse for Wakefield fans, Ben Reynolds got a red card for punching David Fafita.
No, he didn't punch him. His fist was closed.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. His defence for not punching David Fafita was that his fist was closed.
Oh no.
And I think I heard the ref say, and I might be wrong in this, so don't quote me, but I'm sure the ref said, I know it was closed.
That's why I'm sending you
That's
off.
why I'm sending you off for a punch. That was at 10-0.
He was at school, me, that ref, so clearly very smart.
Yeah,
Not going to
definitely.
get fooled by that.
Then 3 minutes later, Tom Nisbet gets a yellow card for a hip drop at 10-0 still.
I've said this was unlucky but dangerous.
It's a hip drop.
It was a hip drop. Yeah,
He's not meant it.
He didn't mean it, but it was dangerous. So
I can
a
understand
yellow
why he got a
card,
yellow card.
I understand it, even though Lee fans don't. I understand it why it was yellow.
Unintentional hit.
Yeah.
It was unintentional, but yeah, he did put him in a dangerous position.
But at this point, you're 10-0 up. You're 10-0 down if you're a Wakey player.
Yeah.
28 minutes, so you're going to get 10 minutes, the last 10 minutes of the first half, against 11 men.
13 against 11.
They've already done almost 30 minutes of playing, so there should be some fatigue. And it wasn't until the 37th minute, the last minute of 11 men, that they actually had a try attempt. Tom Lynham gets a bouncing ball, goes over the line,
And bounces it again.
and then bounces it over the line.
I
Spills his lollies.
could not believe that. It was so obviously a try. And obviously the ref went to the screen and said try. But then it was clear separation. And
It wasn't even close.
I just don't get how he hasn't scored. I honestly don't get it.
But 0 points against 11 men. I know we said they're not the great attacking side, and they've got rid of their attacking coach and brought in Luke Gale, who's acting as an assistant.
Very clunky. But it was.
I almost feel like
yet again
I could get a
another
team and we'd get an attempt against 11 men.
It's another half where you've scored 0. And we did the stats on it a few weeks ago about how they always end up with 0 at half time. They've done it again. And this time they were against 11
If
men
I
for 10
remember
minutes.
rightly, I think it was this game because I was watching this one, and I think at half time Wakefield's completion rate was below 50%.
It was 48 and they'd missed 14 tackles.
Yeah, the majority of sets they did not complete.
Yeah.
And it's like, I remember Sky go to the coaches before and after one team before, one team,
can I
the
say
other
I
team
hate
after.
that?
I know it's leave them to do the job and coach the game, but essentially they went to Mark Applegarth and he was quite honest and he just said, well, no, we're not scoring points, but the reason we're not scoring points is because we've got to earn the right. We're not earning the right because we're not finishing off any sets. So we need to camp down, build some pressure, and points will come at the back of that. But if we're not keeping all the ball, we can't really do much. And he was quite honest in his assessment. And it was a kind of, I remember the commentators were saying, well, what is this? Because the message sounds like it's quite clear from the coach, and are the players able to carry out that message? But you cannot perform with a majority of sets are incomplete in 40 minutes. That is a horrendous statistic.
And you're missing double-digit tackles in the half.
And you're missing double
I
digits.
really don't know what Applegarth can do when you can't even keep hold of the ball. What coaching can you do there that you're going into a tackle and just dropping the ball? It doesn't matter how much coaching you do.
It's not his fault, is it?
He's not dropped the ball. You could say, well, there's no structure and there's panic in the attack. You can't even get to a position to attack. But Lee,
You've got to do it in steps, haven't you?
Yeah.
There's no point looking at attacking shape and moves if you can't keep hold of the ball. You've got to get the core skills right first of all, build up your completion rates, and then start looking on the fancy stuff. Right, let's attack the line.
You've got to
let's put these
complete
on.
sets to win games.
that's
It's
it.
not a secret. Every good team ever completes high and doesn't miss many tackles.
I'd just be happy to see Wakefield. I don't want to say go boring.
Go set for set with
But
somebody.
just go set, just one set, and kick the ball in touch.
Danny Brough was on commentary he was in the studio, and he said at half time, Lee, with their 12 men, having just had 11 for a period, they just need to be boring now, park all the elaborate stuff, and just complete every set and kick everything into the corner. And I thought to myself, well, Wakefield could do with Danny Brough today, couldn't they?
Yeah, could do with it.
Wakefield could do with Danny. With somebody like Danny Brough would be perfect. for
Let's prove we can play 5 sets.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they can.
And that would be Danny Brough saying, here's 5 sets where we're going to give you the ball inside your own 20 and we're going to see if you make a mistake now.
But that's what Luke
You
Gale's
beat
there
us.
for. That's what Luke Gale's there for.
That's exactly what Brough would do.
And he's picked up an
So he's,
injury.
so he is playing,
He's
but
got
he's just
injury.
picked up an injury, so that's why he's up on
Yeah,
the
he's come in as an assistant coach / player. What I've been told when I spoke to a couple of Wakey fans is that they were giving him a couple of weeks to get up to speed of full-time training. He's then picked up an injury. But as I said to him, every game he doesn't play, it looks like a worse and worse and worse decision.
Yeah.
Because they paid money for him.
Because they paid money for him. They could have got him in the off-season and didn't. And now this. But Lee, Charlie bags another try.
Yeah.
Lachlan Lamb gets a double. They were 30-0 up in 67 minutes.
That was some bad defence, that second try. It was the worst defence I've seen yet, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Oh, Ipape's try was absolutely delightful.
Epape's try was brilliant.
Gorgeous,
But who was
gorgeous.
it? Who was it that scored in the first half for Lee? I think, is it Amon, took the ball to the line and couldn't made a pass literally a yard to the side of him.
Or did Mulhern score?
It was Mulhern, sorry.
Yeah, off like a crash ball.
A crash ball, but they've
Yeah,
got
yeah.
one pass to Amon, and then Amon's just dropped it a
Pop.
yard,
Or he just dropped it
And-
off, yeah.
and he goes through without being touched.
He didn't get touched.
Not even a defender just trying to grab his shirt. There's just...
If you want to watch like rock and roll rugby, it's Ipape's try, isn't it? It was
Yeah.
lovely. All Burgess's from earlier. And the other thing to mention is Lachlan and Adrian Lamb, player and coach of the month for May.
Yeah,
That's interesting, isn't it?
that is really
Father
interesting.
and son combination.
Probably deserved though.
I think it's
I think,
deserved,
yeah, Adrian Lampo is doing lay after they've not lost a game.
Well, they
Got
were
right,
unbeaten
didn't
in May and progressed in the cup, so definitely well deserved for Adrian Lamb, and Lachlan's been fantastic all
he? Yeah,
season.
it's been impressive.
One-
hasn't it?
my
He's
one concern.
He's a great half.
So I've seen that Lee haven't played an academy game yet.
No, they've forfeited all 7 of their academy games, and that's a real
I hope
concern.
that that's Beaumont and the Lee structured next big target to
Yeah.
really start our reserves.
Maybe they've gone for it too early. They want to do a women's team, don't they? I think that was the next big plan.
They've got a women's team.
Or have they got one?
Yeah.
So that's obviously sunk a lot of time and energy this year. But if you're going to put an academy into this competition, you've got to play every week. And I think I've read that Hull FC's academy have missed the last 4 games because the other team keeps cancelling. It's no good.
It's not good.
No.
And I just think...
And you've got a set up there in Lee. You've got a couple of, you've got Lee East, you've got Lee Miners, you've got amateur clubs there.
Exactly.
You can get your youth from to make
Exactly.
an academy side. Plus, obviously, they're around the Wigan and
Well, I was just about to say-
Wigan ones.
Anybody dropping out of Wigan, Warrington, St Helens academies,
There should be someone sat there that says, listen,
that's how Salford get their academy players.
when Wigan, Saints, Wire let players go, someone stood there with the contract saying, listen, we'll offer you a year at Lee
Academy level.
academy level.
What they do in
Bit of a second
Australia,
chance.
and this is what I wanted to do in this country.
Sorry, I should say until they get more competitive.
Oh yeah,
And that academy setup starts to
can generate its own
Yeah.
players. Yeah, I know what you mean. But Salford, realistically, when I was playing at school, this was 10 years ago. Salford were just starting kind of their academy then, and they were taking a lot of people from my school, and it actually took this long for them, and they've still not got an amazing academy that wins things. But it takes a long time, doesn't it? Starting to see a bit of a setup carrying those players through. Like I was saying, in Australia, they've got the reserve sides playing every week against men, usually, or against each other, where they're basically in the championship equivalent. And you've got like North Sydney Bears or West Magpies, the teams that merge to create the NRL clubs, are then in the division below playing against the reserves, and that really works. That if you want to do a closed shop at the top of the league with a top division, you could do worse than having Wigan's Academy, St Helens Academy in effectively the championship, because they'd be competitive.
Right. Second game on Sunday. It is St Helens versus Huddersfield. St Helens winning 48 points to 6.
Yeah, Huddersfield was 6-0 up.
They were 6-0 up.
How bizarre is that?
And
Kevin
then-
Nagama scored.
I'm just going to go through the try scorers. Conrad Earl got a double.
Yep.
Lussick. Makinson got 4. LMS bagged a try, and so did Percival. Nguama scored for Huddersfield, and Connor kicked the goal.
Percival's was nice, and Lussick's was like end-to-end stuff, like basketball. But aside from that, Huddersfield really poor again. Ian Watson, he's under pressure, definitely. There's pressure mounted on Ian Watson now. He's on the hot seat. He's blaming the players. Blame game.
He must be in serious trouble. 'Cause
Yeah.
to come out with some of them comments.
So he said this loss was down to individuals, not individual mistakes, which you hear quite often from coaches. This loss was down to individuals who aren't putting the effort in, who will be getting replaced. Those are fighting words.
They are, and it never goes well when you do that. I know this. There was a similar point in Warrington's season where they lost a couple of games, and Darryl Pearl called out the players.
Yeah.
And things started to turn sour very, very quickly. And then he tried to go back on his word. I remember there was a kind of famous after the game press, or not press conference, but where they interviewed him after the game, should I say.
Yeah.
And he was trying to say, I don't think we're too bad. I think we're in a good place. And I was a bit like, you can't go back on your word.
No.
Once you've called them out and said they can't do what I'm asking them to do, the individuals, I've not got the players to compete. It's very, very bad then you can't really go back on your word there.
It's tough because he as Salford boss, he was always, we're working on a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
We're trusting our process. We're like punching above our weight. Okay, fine. He gets the job with Huddersfield. There's a lot more money to play with. There's a lot more money to spend on players then. All of a sudden, we're trusting the process. We're improving week on week. We haven't got the financial might to compete with the bit. All of a sudden, it doesn't hold water anymore.
Yeah.
You have got to get something going this year if you're Ian Watson after the success of last year.
Well, why do you think it's not? Because they got to a Challenge Cup final last year. In Preston, got some big results. They've added players to the squad. Is it that they've brought in the wrong players? Have they brought in too many type of the same players? I know on Sky, the pundits were saying that. I think I can't remember who it was, but I remember one of them saying like they've got too many players who want the ball. You've got Thies demanding the ball, Connor demanding the ball, Lahir demanding the ball. When Will Price is on the field, possibly demanding the ball. Is there too many of the same players? Have they not got a kind of cohesion? Is it a team of players but not a team?
I don't know what it is. I don't know why Huddersfield aren't aren't as good as they were last year.
For me, it changes.
They have made a lot of changes, but
Too many.
How many fullbacks have they had?
yeah,
How many halves have they had?
true.
Different centre partnerships, different wingers. I get the McGilvery. Is he still injured or is he back now?
Yeah, they've had Cudjoe on this year.
had Cudjoe.
So Cudjoe played this week when,
Nguama,
in reality, they signed Ngama,
Bibby.
Masters, Bibby, and Halsall. So they signed 4 centres,
I think he played second row though, Cudjoe.
and then
Yeah.
Cudjoe ends up in the second row.
It's
Like,
a
it's a
But
weird one.
Connor, I
this.
think Connor played a game in the centres.
Yeah.
But then in full backs, Will Price has played there, Lola Here's played there, Connor's played there. In the halves, you've had
These guys have all played in the halves as well.
plus
Yeah.
Theo Fage, plus what's the young lad called that I rate?
Oliver Russell.
Oliver Russell.
Yeah.
There's so many different options. You might
Wigan.
as well put all the names in a hat and say, today playing at full back is.
Chris Hill. Imagine if it was Chris Hill.
But and then you go to a pack that is not got the most depth. Chris Hill is aging. Chris McQueen is aging.
Nicky Heathor.
Ikahifo.
He's not going to do
He's
massive
the other one,
minutes.
Matty English, the story comes off the
Yeah,
bench.
they're losing Trout, or have they already lost Trout?
Trout.
Or is he going at the end of the season?
He's winning at the end
Yeah,
of the season.
Where's he going to?
I don't know yet.
I don't think he's been
I wasn't
announced.
they announced.
I
You
don't
said
think
he's
so,
on his
yeah.
way out. Right.
I just think it is a squad that has no direction, no consistency, no. He is our best fullback. He is our best halfback. He is our best 9. He is our best 13. Someone. I just don't. You don't know who's going to play. If you don't know who's going to play, you can't play the same way. Look at the fullbacks. Will Price will want the ball in a certain way. So will Connor. So will Tully Lola here, and that's always slightly different. So the halves have got to deliver the ball to him slightly different. They want it in different places. Then one of them's playing in the halves, and he's not thinking about how the fullback wants. It's just chaos. It's just mental, in my opinion, that you can have so many changes.
I think you made a point there as well, Sultan, with the when you just went through the players. Then it seems like they've invested a lot in the backs. Connor, Nagama, Halsall, Masters. They've not really invested in the forward pack, have they? And I think a forward pack, there's the old saying, forwards win your games, backs determine how much.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you go through the pack, they've got Chris Hill, they've got Luke Yates, but when you're having to put Leroy Cudjoe in at second row, it's like, why have you got so many full-back centres, but you're a bit,
You lose a couple of second
you
rows.
use a
in
second
that
row, and you're having
resort.
to put Cudjoe in there, who's played centre winger, and I don't think he's ever played second row before in his life, and he's been shoved in a job to do it second row. So
Well, this week, another one we forgot, any senior played on the wing.
yeah,
Fage and Connor play in the halves, but then the props, Hill, English, back rows of Cudjoe, McQueen and Yates. They brought in Adam Milner, but it just doesn't feel balanced, doesn't feel everyone's pushing in the same direction, if that
Yeah.
makes sense, in my personal opinion.
yeah, it seems like a strange one at Huddersfield. But yeah, Watson's definitely under pressure now.
Right, shall we move on to the last game?
Go on, last game of the Manchester round.
Probably one of the form teams of the season so far in Warrington, against a team in Hull FC that have really turned things around in the
They're
last
in
couple.
consistently good form. They've won a good couple now,
Yeah.
consecutively back to back, haven't they? Would you
That-
say this was an upset then?
League position would tell you that it's an upset. 30 points to 18 for Hull FC to win. They've had a change with Tex Hoy back at full back after his injury. But the main man for me again was Jake Clifford.
Yeah,
I thought he was top quality in the
yeah,
half.
pulling the strings, wasn't it?
Warrington struggled a little bit, weren't as. I don't know what the word really is to describe how Warrington's performance. It just seemed a little bit off pace, a little bit like Wigan's against Catalans. They didn't get going forward, and they weren't the defensive
Didn't
best.
click in that game. Things just
Yeah.
weren't clicking into place for him.
And again, that's okay. If you're a Warrington fan, I know you'll be a bit disappointed, but you're second in league. My concern would be that you didn't beat Wigan or Saints when you had the chance 2-3 weeks earlier, about a month earlier. But in reality, Hull FC played really well. Josh Griffin, hat trick.
It was fantastic.
It was.
Played in the second row. I was very, very impressed, and I think they're getting a few things right.
We did trust Tony Smith on this podcast.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, we said they'll turn this round, and they have, perhaps quicker than we and I mean, even Tony himself this week said, I knew we were going to be good, but this is really quick. This turnaround, it's really clicked for them, and I'm pleased for him. You know.
Yeah, I'm pleased. I'm pleased with Tony Smith.
I'm pleased for him.
Well, we want again competitive league and a strong Hull side, along with OKR getting stronger this season. Is going to make it. It's going to make it interesting towards the back half and the back end of the season.
Yeah, you can't
And,
call
and let's be honest, they're in with a chance of getting playoffs.
definitely. Definitely.
They're now in 9th. They are 4 points away from the playoffs. Bear in mind, Saints are 6th with a game in hand. So that could go up to 18. So let's say 6 behind the playoffs. Would you back them to not catch 6? They only have to beat one of them teams in there, and suddenly it's game on.
Well, they've beat a Wigan, they've beat a Wire as well, haven't they? So you know they've shown they can win the big games. It's if they can do that now.
Massive game this week at Lee.
Yeah, consecutively.
That'd be a good
It's
game,
going to be an interesting one.
That is a huge game. You're right.
So you're probably the two most informed teams, you'd say.
Certainly, I would say that. Yeah.
I would just, if I was a Warrington fan, and I would most certainly not, I would just be looking at, similar to a Wigan situation, not to panic. Obviously, the Maguire incident's gone on that isn't a great situation to talk about. I'd just be a little bit...
It's a bit like the KR situation, I think.
don't
One more
panic.
win and they get the momentum back with them, and then
Yeah.
it can go kick on from there. It only takes one win and things can change for you. You just need a bit of momentum to...
Don't panic yet. Listen, if this carries on and they don't win another game for next month, which I would love to see.
Well, that means we'll have beaten them.
Yeah, but if they don't win another game for a month, then start to go, what's going on?
Well, I think some of the fans are getting a bit nervous because when they lost to us, it's all right. We're still 4 points clear. It's the first loss. Then when they lost to St Helens, it's only the second loss. We're still 2 points clear. Now, then it was like we're joint top. It's okay. Don't panic. We're still joint top. This is what Powell was saying. Whereas now, Catalan have overtaken them.
They've lost to Lee, they've lost to Hull.
They've lost to Lee and they've lost to Hull back-to-back weeks. They've got a big game coming up next week against us in the Cup. I think that's why the fans are starting to get a little bit nervous.
I don't want to say it's make or break.
They have got Huddersfield this week at home. You'd expect them to win.
And probably the team you want to play other than Wakey.
And win handsomely this weekend. That could get your season back on track. It could, if you win nicely, it could end all the doubts.
Yeah. But that wraps up the Magic Weekend.
Yeah, it was a fun one.
Yeah.
That was a long segment, I think.
I think it was.
I think all the games were quite entertaining.
Do you know why it was a long? You know why it was a long segment? All the games were on TV.
Correct.
And they were all at different times, so we were able to know more about the matches.
Because we've watched them all.
We weren't watching
90-second
highlights on YouTube, finding them ourselves. They were all on TV.
There you go.
Yeah.
So there you go, Sky.
If you want to fill out this podcast, get more games on Sky.
That's the only reason, no other reason.
Forget the fans wanting to watch. Just for the Wigan Way podcast.
Get all the games on
JJB,
TV.
keep telling us the Wigan Way. Yeah, keep
Did
shouting us out.
Jones Buchanan keeps quoting us.
Yeah, but thank you for listening to this section, and we'll come back and review State of Origin. So it was State of Origin last Wednesday, a week ago now since we've last filmed.
Adelaide Oval.
Yeah, the neutral venue. It was not your classic State of Origin game, but some really big moments.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed watching it.
It was a good game.
Queensland winning 26 points to 18. They were 18-16 down. 12 men on the field after Tom Flegler got a sin bin. I don't think it was a sin bin.
No.
It was accidental, especially not in Origin. But the try scorers, Hamisai Tabuai Fido,
Hamiso.
the hammer, gets a double. Selwyn Cobbo with a double.
Yep.
Cam Munster getting a late try to confirm the victory.
Yep.
All praise has got to go on to Lindsay Collins for that try.
Well, if you want to talk about it try by try, I'm going to heap praise on Lindsay Collins, but
yeah, we will do in a second.
let's do that in a minute.
The try scorers for the Blues, probably the standout player for the Blues, Liam Martin. Really, really impressive.
Definitely.
Appy Coruscant with a questionable try. And Stephen Crichton
From a kick.
from a kick.
Right, so let's go in chronological order then, shall we?
Well, I was just going to say, should we start off with an overview of New South Wales? I don't think they were great. I don't. They were probably at 50-60% of the best. They looked clunky. Isaiah Yore down the middle, it was very slow with his delivery. They talk about the Penrith partnership. He gets more time in normal club games.
Yeah.
I think in games like this, you've got to look at what Cherry Evans and Munster did. They were both, either side, and which way they were attacking, they were stood at first receiver.
Take the ball, pass the ball.
Yeah.
Guardiola style.
Isaiah Yore, a lot, like he does at Penrith, plays with Luai and Cleary either side, and he directs which way they go. He didn't get the time he wanted. That made his pass was slower out to the half, and they didn't have the time to deliver. I think in games like this, your halves have got to play together, like Cherry Evans and Munster did. Play together, flat, short passes, move the ball, and that's why I think Queensland won this game. The passing was better, the movement was better.
I think lacking pace of play, New South Wales just couldn't get.
They just wanted a little bit more time.
They had a lot of good ball. They had a lot of good ball on Queensland's line, but they just weren't quick enough to make it count. They just weren't sharp enough. They just weren't incisive enough to make it count. Only got the 3 tries. But the first try, as you mentioned on last week's podcast,
I backed the hammer. I told everyone to back the hammer.
You
for
said
first
back
try
the hammer
scorer.
for first try scorer. You phoned me up 8 minutes into this game saying, "Why did I not put this bet on?"
I completely forgot,
Hamisol
and then the
scoring
game
the
had
first
kicked
try.
off.
And Gus Gould said, Hamisol first try as well. Didn't he say, like, don't be surprised if he gets it off a grubber kick or a chip or something? And that's exactly what happened. A grubber in behind, and the hammer was quickest to it.
I think that was the thing early on, especially a very clever kick from Munster. He sort of drifting across the line, and I can't remember who it is that shoots out for New South Wales to try and put some pressure on him. So then Travojevic has to shoot up.
It might have been Hudson
Young, and he just drops that kick in behind. And there was a little bit of a swagger about Munster of, you can't come and shoot up on me.
That's a try. Yeah. I'll kick this, and it's a try, or it's a repeat set. Yeah.
And then you sat there going, well, can't push up on him. And as soon as you don't push up on him,
he's going to run.
He runs, and he'll beat you with his running game. But the hammer, so much pace in them back lines.
Yeah, so the hammer...
He beats the Fox together.
The hammer then crossed over for the first try, and then it was almost like bang, bang, they went down the field again, 10 minutes in. Corbo scores down the right with some nice hands, and you're thinking, well, this is a good start, this for Queensland, 10-0 after 10 minutes. Thought they were fantastic.
But then, for the next probably 30 minutes, New South Wales...
Dominant.
Really, really dominant. The other winger, he didn't get a try, Tuolangi, actually comes out with 2 try-saving efforts.
Big efforts then.
The first one was on...
Tyson Frizzell.
Was it? No, I thought the second one was Frizzell. The first one was on... Tedesco up.
Teddy. And then shoves him back over, doesn't he? Yeah. So he ends up being short.
The second one on Frizzell, I do believe that if they'd have gone up as a try, the video ref sticks with it.
There was no clear angle, was there?
That's what I mean. But
he goes with the on-field call, doesn't he, the video ref, the bunker.
But if Tuolangi doesn't put the effort in, he just gives try straight away. He's put some doubt in the ref's mind. He's played to the whistle.
Oh, he's gone for it. He's trying to help them.
Big effort in a big game.
As much as Cobbo gets 2 tries on the other wing, I think you've got to count Tuolangi as doing the same. Because
I mean, you said to me, if he doesn't score, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Or if he scores 1, that's as good as a hat trick because he's saved 2.
He's already 2 tries up in my eyes. That is as big as scoring a try.
Now they did make that
pressure
count eventually on 31 minutes with Liam Martin's try, which was lovely, really clever try.
I love this try.
Really clever, wasn't it?
I love forwards it in a flat line to go over, and he just goes through the hands, works out to the left hand side. Luai, nice little tip onto Martin, who's on a crash ball.
He looked long, didn't he?
He looked long to
and then just did a little tip on, and Martin crashes over. I love tries.
This was really clever. He looked out the back and well, no wonder you like tries like that, playing as a back row yourself.
Well, yeah, but there you go.
He looked out the back to Tedesco, give it short to Martin. This was a really clever try. Even before that, putting it through the hands, it was really, really smart. So that was just before half-time.
They go in at half-time 10-6. Yeah. And I think we were all talking together saying that if New South Wales scored next, they could start to click and put some real pressure on them.
Yeah.
On Queensland, and they actually did score. next. It wasn't the way that we would have expected.
Yeah, just a few minutes into the half,
I-
Coruscant went over.
Well, they were defending, weren't they? They were
It
defending
was off a
probably
loose offload, wasn't it?
a loose offload. It hits Coruscant. I believe it was a knock on.
I also think it was a knock on, yeah.
But the ref's not seen it that way. I'm not sure who dives on it from the Queensland team to try and knock it back. But then it bobbling on the floor, Appy kicks it through, collects his own kick and scores. And suddenly you're thinking, that's scrappy, but this has got them ahead to 12-10 up now, and that they've not played well and they're winning.
Although it may have been a knock on from Coruscant, will Queensland and Billy Slater be angry at the throwing offloads in their own half?
Yeah.
I think so early on in the second half,
Yeah.
and especially when you're winning so early in the second half, you just want
Play the game down there and
just be down that end.
Yeah.
Complete kick long, back your defence.
And not give them a chance to get back into it.
Yeah, you don't want a shortcut really. New South Wales would have been the ones looking for the shortcut.
Yeah.
And at 12-6 now, 44 minutes in, let's say, being the second best team New South Wales, you'd think if we can put a few 10-15 minutes together here, we can try and be out of the game. But Selwyn Cobbo goes in 15 minutes into the second half in the corner.
Awful.
I know, Lewis, you picked up on the defence. And
2 chances to hit him.
Yeah.
2 chances to put him in the third.
Luai who misses him. And I
And
think
then-
Tedesco who just goes way too high, gives him a slap on the chin as he's going in.
2 chances to put him in the third row.
I think the tackle from Luai just brings, it's a bit of an ankle leg tap or whatever, and it just brings Cobbo down a little bit, and Tedesco's lined him up to be stood up, and obviously he's just dropped in front of him and almost goes over the back of Cobbo as he slides in.
I think you're being generous there. I think Tedesco's got to line him up properly and put him in touch.
But I look back at what Reece Walsh did 3 weeks ago against, I think it was the Warriors, and he came across and he gave a penalty try away for a shoulder charge in that same situation. I don't think that gets given in.
You don't have to shoulder charge. You could tackle him
But
normally. No,
he's coming across. I just think you just got to brace for it and just hit him with everything.
I think that's what he should have done.
But having seen that plays have been done for shoulder charges, you're a bit questioning it. I don't think that gets given in Origin, but
I think you can't think like that. If you're in an Origin, big game situation, you've got to just think you have got to get the kick.
You've got to put him in touch, yeah.
Whether you shoulder charge, whether whatever. Your first thought as you're running over to that tackle will be, well, I remember Reece Walsh a couple of weeks, it'll just be, I need to get this guy
No,
I need to
I
get him
agree.
off the island. They had 2, they'll be disappointed with that because, like Matty said, they had 2 chances to put him in the third row, they didn't take him, and ultimately it was a big turning point.
Wasn't he casual sliding in though, Cobbo?
Yeah.
Wasn't he casual?
You got to give him some credit.
It looked like-
strength
it looked like
to,
he said-
to ride the tackle.
you look at that Queensland backline and forget how young they are and how long they've got to play. I think every single one other than Val Holmes is younger than me. Let's just put that into context. I'm 23.
Yeah.
Tuolangi's like 22.
They're all
Val
student
Holmes
age.
is only 28.
Yeah,
And he feels like he's been around for donkey's years.
Yeah.
But
Cobbo's Cobbo the youngest or Reece Walsh the same age? I think they're both 20.
I think
It's
one's
ridiculous,
21 and
isn't it?
one's 20.
It's ridiculous.
But they're also just like so good looking and everything they do so classy, so effective.
He slid in like he was on a water slide at
Yeah.
Centre Parks Day.
Yeah.
It was just casual.
Yeah.
Going in for a try that puts your state in front.
Well, at this point, they're winning 16-10.
Yeah. The lead changed.
16-12, sorry. 16-12.
Yeah, because he kicked the goal off the touchline, didn't he, Val?
Yeah, but he missed the one earlier. For Cobbo's first try.
Yeah.
Then, I think it's Cleary that puts a kick across. Tommy Turbo's come across from the right centre, contested it. I think Hudson Young contested it a lot.
Lot of blue in that contest.
Yeah, and the Queensland defence has sort of compressed to try and deal with that. I can't remember who wins the ball, but as it drops, it lands at Luai, and it's almost a 3-on-1 with Tuolangi.
Yeah. You can't save this one.
He has a go. He goes for the big intercept play. I don't think there was anything else on.
Oh, was it Cobbo defending that side?
No. It's
The right hand side was Cobbo, wasn't it? When he slid in. Tuolangi was on the left if he...
No, because Tedesco tried to clean him out, and that was...
Yeah, I'm sure Cobbo was on the right. But no, it doesn't matter. He gave it to Crichton and Crichton walked in.
Yeah, nice double pump from Luai. You said straight away, you text in the group saying what a double pump.
Yeah.
sold the dummy and just like Crichton in.
Yeah. Bit of composure, just sell the dummy, take the winger out of the player, then give it.
And it was a brave play, really.
Yeah.
No one would have criticised him for just giving the ball early.
Yeah, and panicking, but he didn't panic, he kept his head.
And at this point, 18-6, I got the feeling that just as this happens, it goes to 18-6. A couple of minutes later, Tom Flegler gets 10 in the bin for a high shot on Turbo. Turbo gets the mandatory stand down. I thought it was harsh
for the HIA.
Yeah.
The interesting thing was, Flegler goes off for 10 minutes, which is pretty much the rest of the game because it was on 68. And Turbo goes off for the rest of the game. Didn't check him because it takes 15 minutes to do a HIA anyway. They didn't check him, and he wasn't concussed, so he's playing this weekend. And apparently that's okay because he never actually got the test for concussion, so he was never concussed. But Flegler went off, and so did Turbo, and that means Nico Hines came onto the field. Now we've been talking up Nico Hines for weeks, and he was the Dally M medalist last year, which is their version of the Man of Steel.
But he's not a centre.
But he's not a centre, and the plan was, believe it or not, and before the injury to Turbo, was for him to sit on the bench for 80 minutes and not come on.
Yeah.
What's the point in that?
Yeah,
Could have picked another prop.
Yeah.
They needed another prop.
Yeah, I know they did. It's so stupid. It's stupid to do this. Pick a guy because everyone wants you to pick him, but we're going to put him on the bench and we're not even going to bring him on.
He's only there for someone to get injured.
Turbo gets injured. All of a sudden, he's thrown on in an unfamiliar position. You mentioned last week, Tom, Burton's better as an all-rounder because he can play everywhere in the back seven.
He can play centre,
and especially centre because he played there a lot. But all of a sudden, no, Nico's in there. He's going to go and play centre now. He drops the ball first time. Anyone can do that. But he's coming off fresh onto the pitch.
He's not got the speed of the game.
He misses the tackle on Cam Munster. And Cam Munster's a good player. And
I felt really awful for Nico Hines.
He's a well-balanced runner, but you've got to tackle him there.
Because I felt really bad for Nico Hines because he has to be in the team. He has to be... I had no problem with him being at 14. But you have to have a plan for him.
He's got to come on for Appy.
Yeah.
Because Appy can do 80 minutes, but
it's not effective.
He doesn't have to. He can do 60 just as easily and be much better. Luai can go into the middle.
Yeah. Or any version of that movement.
No, Luai can go into the middle and...
But you can't just have a bloke there who's there for an injury concern. That is not right. You've got the Dally M winner, the best player last year.
And I think he's been even better this year. Maybe
even better than this year after missing a couple of games that early on.
Yeah,
you can't just bring him on and then have Cam Munster dancing at him.
Well, you're setting up to fail, aren't you?
Yeah.
If you're not doing it, you bring him on. He's not like you say. He's not the speed of the game. He's not got to grips with it in an unfamiliar position. You're setting him up to fail, there, in my opinion.
But there is incredible vision of this try.
I'm just going to say, Munster skips across the field. He almost picks Nico Hines out, knowing that he's the fresh man. Gets on his outside shoulder, he's slipping and trying to fall off the tackle, he's trying to hang on, and he just delivers a ball to the Hammer, who gets the turn on Adokar. I still believe Adokar's the fastest man in rugby league, but he gets the turn on him because he's got to turn backwards, and then he's beaten for pace.
Yeah,
and you can just see as he gets a couple of steps away from the Fox, he sees Tedesco flying across, and there's almost like a smile on his face of...
Gus Gould said this, didn't he? He said, I was in that corner and he was smiling as he turned.
I'm just going to put the left foot down.
When the fullback's flying across like that, there's nothing he can do because he doesn't know when he's going to change direction.
And he's got to be there to try and push him to the corner.
There was a guy on the inside. He's got to be pushing him out to the edge, but he doesn't know when the Hammer's going to plant that left foot and go inside, and he plants it just at the right time. Teddy was beaten anyway, but he slips, make it look more fun. The try looks a bit more dramatic. There's some incredible shots from the corner post behind the play that really look fantastic and shows the shape beautifully. This was just a classic Origin try. Yeah. It deserved to settle the game, which it did. And I really think that this could go down, if the Maroons win this one, as one of the great Origin tries.
I think that photo of the Hammer and Reece Walsh in his celebration
with the shark,
that is an iconic picture
celebration. And somebody said on Twitter, why is Reece Walsh doing the dolphin celebration? he plays for a Queensland team, Brisbane, that they're rivals, cross-city rivals, but it's actually not a Dolphin.
No, it's not.
The Hammer's been doing this, even when he played for North Queensland, he's been doing this a long time. It's to do with his roots and the tribe he's from, the Shark tribe, in that particular part of Queensland, is that they're represented, their sigil as a shark, and so he's representing his people with that. On the first time he did it, a few of the commentators were calling it a dab, but no, it's a shark. And
But then,
obviously Reece was getting involved.
can we talk about the last try? Big kick from, I think it's Cherry Evans that puts the kick up into it.
It will be, yeah.
Drops it right on top of Tedesco. Real pressure place to put that kick. Drops it right on top of him. And Lindsay Collins, of all people,
His teammate, his Roosters mate.
puts the hard work in, and this is what Origin is all about, putting that hard work in when you possibly don't need to, but to come up with a play. He out jumps Tedesco. Obviously, Collins is a big man, 6'2" plus. Beats Tedesco to the ball, and it falls backwards, lands in Cam Munster's hands.
No, it was a one-handed offload.
Was it an offload?
Yeah, it was a one-handed offload. It looked like he just batted it back, like they did for the Crichton try, but he actually leaps up, catches it two-handed, and then one-handed offload to
Wow.
Cam Munster, who was there for the try. Just settled it.
Well, he leaps, gives it to Munster, and what I love most about this try is that Munster scores, gets up and gives it the big, boots the ball away, big celebration, and all the Queensland players almost leave him and go and praise Collins on that extra bit of effort.
Everyone's diving on Collins.
It's a real big moment for me. I thought it said a lot about the game.
Yeah.
I think it said a lot about the team in general, and I think it shows what Origin's all about, really.
And it shows what Queensland are all about. Queensland have always been about hard work, hard-working forwards. They always have.
Yeah. Now, before we move on onto the and have a break and talk about the couple of NRL games and do our predictions for the rest of the week, I think it's fair to say there's been a bit of an injury crisis. A couple for Queensland. Some of them are solved because of the return of Felice Kafusi.
Yeah, so Jai Arrow and Tom Flegler.
Jeremiah Nanai is available.
Yeah.
But
Well, Christian Welch will probably come in for Arrow. It could be Big Red Corey Horsburgh.
yeah,
So they've got options.
they've got options, and I think they're a bit more straightforward.
Yeah, a back rower for a back rower, a prop for a prop. These are straightforward picks for Billy Slater.
The big one, and I think this affects New South Wales more than it affects than the injuries to Queensland affect Queensland.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Because Freddie took an approach of picking partnerships, and he's picked their middle four of the half, and Coruscant, based on his
as a former Panther.
yeah, for that Penrith connection. The one man that definitely couldn't be missing, and the one that probably guaranteed that they were all picked, is Nathan Cleary. Because Nathan Cleary was the one that definitely gets in.
He's the first pick on the team sheet.
And there's question marks about the other, where you could say, could you pick Cam Murray at 13, or could you pick Nico Hines instead of Luai? And all of them have been sort of pushed into playing because of the connection
With Nathan.
with Nathan. Now Nathan's out minimum 8 weeks. I've read. I've read rumours that it's a season job. I hope not.
Well, he was defending his line, turning to defend his line about 10, 15 minutes in, and this is always the worry when you get players backing up the Saturday or the Sunday after the Wednesday massive intense game when they played 80 minutes and his hamstring just went.
But I'm going to ask you, and I will tell you my combinations because I finally decided.
Yeah.
There's talks about who's going to play in the halves. For me, I'm not going to play Luai. I'm going to go Reynolds. Game at Suncorp. Big game experience. Game experience at Suncorp.
Yeah.
And I'm going to partner him with Nico Hines. And for me, I'm going to put Cody Walker on the bench at 14.
Well, that's what I said 2 hours ago and you disagreed.
I know, I've changed my mind.
I
was going to go Walker.
I've not changed my mind. That's the same 3 hour pick.
just see. You could start Walker at the half for his partnership with Latrell, because Latrell should be back to play left centre.
You could start. You could have Luai on the bench.
Mm.
Depending on how the game's going, you put Luai on.
But is it not just a straight swap Cleary out, Nico Hines in?
That's an option.
Or do you not think
it is an option?
to?
It is an option, but does
Damien Cook to the bench.
But does Luai get into that team without his partnership with Cleary?
I think he was decent in game one.
He did, he set him 2 tries.
And
And
I
he
think
did
every
a nice
time-
little
yeah.
softball to Martin and did the composed double pump.
Every time he's played for New South Wales, he's been quite good. I think I like Luai.
But I'm sure I read out of the games he's played. Now he's played six games and they've won 1.
He wasn't good last year for Penrith when they were missing Nathan.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
I think this week will tell that the missing Nathan. Does Luai step up? If he doesn't play Origin, in my opinion.
And they've got to play. Is it the
Reynolds is one of the
Roosters?
form half. Yeah, and not so the Roosters. Adam Reynolds is one of the form players. Used to playing at Suncorp. Cody Walker is arguably the best ball player. Can create something out of nothing for his team.
Well, Cooper Cronk thinks so.
He's got a partnership with Latrell already. They're used to playing with each other.
Yeah, and with Reynolds.
And with Reynolds. Nico Hines is the Dally M winner, and for me should have played a bigger form rather than the 10 minutes that he did play. It's going to be really interesting because
It's a tough one for the coach because if they lose, no matter what he does, it'll be the wrong decision.
Oh, and
Yeah.
and he's under pressure for his job as well.
Well, that's it. And then obviously, if they lose this, they lose the series, losing game
Yeah.
1. So it's one of those. No matter what he does, if he picks Nico Hines and just does a straight swap, Nico Hines comes in. Oh no, well, that shouldn't have worked. You should have gone with Reynolds and a Cody Walker or whatever.
It's a
and
no-win
if he
for
does
him.
that and they lose, it's always should took Luai at the team. So
I think
yeah,
it's almost a no-win.
They have to, but obviously they have to win.
No, they
It's
just
a
have to win.
series.
Yeah.
But I mean, as in obviously for the coach as well, he'll get.
I think it's a no-win more than anything because if they win, the question marks is, well, why did Nico not play in game 1? If Nico goes out there and has a stormer and sets up 3 tries and is brilliant defensively and kicks Queensland to death, then the question is why was he not involved in game 1? Why did you not have a plan for him? If they pick Reynolds and Walker, the question is, they weren't even in your plans for game 1. And you've picked them and they've saved you. Who would be a coach here?
So with the
tough
amount
call.
of players though, isn't there? They're
Yeah.
all such good players that sometimes you got to leave people out.
And they're all
sort of go,
stars on their teams, aren't they?
Well, that's it, and then it's why didn't you pick him? And it's like because I had them, and if I pick him, I don't pick them. Then you'll be asking me why I didn't pick them. So it's
I
just
think
so.
the only
hard.
issue that Freddie's had is that he's been so vocal and animate about partnerships and club partnerships coming into the game, and he's stuck by the Penrith partnership after they lost the series last year. They've stuck by them. They've lost game 1. If he goes right, we're just going to replace Nico, and doesn't worry about partnerships, he's a bit shooting himself in the own foot.
I can't wait to see what he does.
Yeah, knowing what we've just said, he'll probably pick a team and they win by 40, and then that sets up perfect game 3.
Yeah,
Who knows?
I don't know.
But there's a bit of a danger.
That'll be interesting.
Right, we're going to wrap up there on the State of Origin. We're going to come back, fly through the 4 or 5 NRL games that happen, and then talk about our predictions. So thank you for listening. So since we talked about Origin, we're going to keep it short. We're going to keep it sweet with the NRL.
All right, bootlegger.
Hey. So 7 games.
Yep.
Only 3 teams didn't play. I'm assuming that's due to something with Origin. I don't get it, but we can't change that. First game starts off with the West Tigers versus the Canberra Raiders. A game of really 70 minutes and then the last 10.
Yeah.
After 70 minutes... after 68 minutes...
Yeah, 68.
The Raiders were winning 18 points to 0. Tom Starling gets sin-binned for persistent 6 agains or the
Ruck
team.
infringements,
Yeah,
Was
something.
holding down, things like that.
and then the game changed. Up steps the informed man, possibly a New South Wales call. Luke Brooks is the form half. Buller starts off with a try, the full back. Quick hands, running into space, some poor defence from Canberra to not wrap up the centre, Timoko. And
Yeah.
he jumps across the line,
But
Puts-
defence by Timoko.
puts the full back through, and they score. They then roll downfield again. Luke Brooks makes a break. They go 60 metres in the next set. They then play to the right hand side, and Appy, being the very calm and collected player that he is, realises that it's nothing on and sort of punches a bit of a hole in the recovering defensive line. Creates a second break, and John Bateman jumps in at the play of the ball, fires himself at the line.
We've seen him do this.
10-15 metres out. Yeah. We've seen him do it at Wigan. Typical John Bateman, really.
We've seen him do it at Canberra.
And suddenly you're now saying it's 18-12 with 7 minutes left.
And it's on.
From them having no chance.
Momentum with the Tigers.
Big momentum.
They roll downfield again. Third set, roll downfield, and Brandon Wakeham puts a nice little light kick in behind. Everyone seems to almost not judge the path of the ball.
There's a bit of a bounce around and a bit of pinball.
And Wakeham picks it up, dives over the line. It's 18-18. They've gone 3 sets and 3 tries to get themselves back in this game.
Yeah, 5 minutes between the first try and, well, them taking the lead with a drop goal from Brooks.
Again,
5 minutes.
Again, though, they rolled downfield on the 4th set.
They've rolled downfield 3 times, haven't they?
Well, 4 times.
Yeah. So
with a drop goal.
And you know what I thought was really clever from Luke Brooks? He didn't play it from centre position.
No, he didn't make it obvious, did he?
They attacked the right side, and then Appy throws a pass in, maybe 20 yards in, but he's not central. There's still tackles to come. Everyone thinks they're setting up for it. And he takes it early. 19-18, and they are back in this game. They're ahead from not having a chance, from game being off.
In 5 minutes.
The Raiders take a short kick off and get the ball back. Set themselves up for their own field goal attempt, but Fogarty pulls it wide, doesn't he?
He does.
And
Fogarty,
if you're a Raiders fan like Matty is, you're ringing me up saying, get in, because he has been taken out.
Isn't it?
I felt this
charging down the kick and catches him on the way through.
It's a penalty.
It's a penalty,
but I felt so harsh for him. Because what else is he meant to do? He's got to dive to try and charge it down. Yeah. And I get that it's dangerous and I get that it's reckless. But what do you want him to do? For every penalty, I always ask myself, what do you want the defender to do different? Or the infringement different?
I think he's just unlucky because he dives for the ball, like you mentioned. He doesn't get there in time. Fogarty puts it wide, but he does collapse onto his standing leg. Like, it is quite dangerous.
It's a penalty. But let me ask you this. If he kicks it, not a single person complains. Fogarty gets up and they play it as 19-19.
I don't know. I think people might still complain, but I don't think it would be given as a penalty. I do think it's interesting. I do think it was a penalty, but the referees have already said they've made a mistake with Jamal Fogarty's try when they've said it was like an obstruction.
And a push on Luke Brooks.
From Gula chasing that kick. How can this happen when you've got a video ref at every game?
And they went to video ref?
Well, I know he went to the video ref, but he doesn't even have to anymore because if he gives a try, the video ref automatically checks it. Why does this keep happening where Graham Annesley's apologising every Monday morning?
It's happening in the Super League as well. It's coming. I know there was one I was talking about with you before, Tom, before we started recording. Sorry to go back and on in the NRL section, but Leeds versus Saints the other week, McDonald gets sent off for apparently throwing a punch at Johnny Lomax, and they review it and appeal it, and they go, "Oh yeah, there was actually no punches, so I don't know whether the touch judge has seen that. Your ban's overturned. He's allowed to play again."
I can get that one a little bit. I can get that one a little bit more than the Luke Brooks push.
And this was obvious on the camera.
It's obvious on the camera. I'm watching it going, that's what I given. And then it was try confirmed, and I went, what on earth? I think that's actually a bit of the issue with that. With the reviewing everything,
though, is it? When you're sending players off in that instance, Leeds against Saints, and this one, you know, it's a strike's been awarded. That's possible. Well,
it takes you to 18 yellow.
You know what I mean? It's.
But let's move on. The Warriors at home to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
The Warriors win 30 points to 8.
Very impressive. I called this last week, the Warriors at home in New Zealand. Very impressive. They get that Kiwi commentator on the game, and I think it makes the team play 10 times better.
You love that Kiwi commentator.
He's brilliant.
You mentioned him a couple of times.
Fantastic. He's fantastic at what he does.
I just want to say...
This game, every single try was amazing.
How good, on a serious note, is Sean Johnson? We talked about it for ages. He was always a talented player, and he was always a flair player that would win you games.
He's been unreal, man.
He's finding himself again now, isn't he?
He's finding himself again, yeah. You're right.
Bossing games.
He's back to his best.
He's bossing games, not just through all the flashy stuff. He's doing the boring stuff really, really well. The Dolphins looked a bit tired. They didn't look at their best. But again, I think as a new side in the comp, you're going to have games where you are off the pace.
Milford got sin-binned, and it was only, what was it, 6 apiece when he got sin-binned?
Yeah.
6-4. So they were only 6-4 down when he got sin-binned, and while he was off, they scored 2 tries, the Warriors. So there's some mitigating factors there. The Warriors were good in the second half. Wateens Lesniak with 2 more tries. I'm surprised my dad didn't text me actually because it's his new favourite player. Looks like Lionel Richie and scores tries. But I don't know why he's not
It's a great
texting.
show. Lionel Richie.
He does know his new hairdo. But anyway, he was fantastic. And the Warriors in Auckland, tough to beat.
Yeah.
Very tough to beat. And the attendance here was the same as the attendance for our Good Friday game against St Helens. Great to see so many people at
Some
Auckland.
big support though.
Great to see such big support. Probably, so I was hearing today that in Auckland it's taken over rugby union, which you don't think that would have been the case a while ago, would you?
Am I right? I've heard there's been problems
With the crowd.
with the crowd. Is it streakers or something like
Yeah,
that?
they had 3 or 4 streakers in a game.
I know I've seen a video of Paul Gallen saying like it's unacceptable, those fans are letting New Zealand down, it could get to the point where the NRL would stop going over there to play games, and obviously
They're
we don't want
not going to stop.
it.
going
No,
to
no.
play games.
Well, I hope not, because
That's Paul Gallen
That's
wanting to make a big shout and make a big comment.
make a big deal about nothing.
It's
So who
not
put
makes
Paul
us
Gallen
not
in
something.
charge?
Well,
They've had 3 years where they've not watched any rugby.
Yeah.
They've not watched any live rugby because they've not gone over there in 2020, 21, 22. They've gone back this year. They're getting big crowds, big support. You're going to get a few idiots who want to make a fool of themselves.
Probably not even fans.
Not even fans. They've gone for a big drink. Whatever. They'll learn from it.
It'll calm down.
They'll
Yeah,
put
yeah.
more security on next time.
It'll calm down. I mean, when I was there at Mount Smart, it kicked off, and they were all Raiders fans. Raiders fans kicking off, and all the stewards at Mount Smart Stadium were dressed in lime green, and it looked like a lot of Raiders fans piling in. But actually, they were the stewards.
Yeah. But then I just look and I go, you get streakers at
Yeah, it happens,
Australia
doesn't
games.
it? Bit
You
of a panic about nothing.
You get idiots everywhere.
Yeah.
It'll move on.
Village idiot, yeah.
Yeah. Right. We're going to move on up to the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Gold Coast played the Rabbitohs. Big Tino,
This
his
was a good
brother
game.
played.
This was a good
Isaac Fasamawale. Good outfit at his name. I really struggle with that.
game.
But
They both scored.
they both scored. One in the first try of the game. One was the last try of the game.
And in another one that you find difficult to pronounce, Kolo Matangi scored a great try for Rabbits.
Very good try. Big thing for me was Blake Taft played at fullback. Not been around for a while. Obviously, Latrell's been back. He played a lot last year.
Yeah.
Struggled for game time this year with the injury, with Latrell being back and being at his best.
He's played a bit the
He
last
played-
couple of weeks at 6, hasn't
Yeah, played a little bit when I think he was injured, Ilias.
he? Elias, yeah.
What
But
score's this finish, sorry?
it's
Did we say?
finished. Sorry, it's finished 46-28 to the Rabbitohs.
Oh, 6-20.
This was just a points fest, this one, Lewis.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
This was a crazy game.
But that's why I like the Rabbitohs. They're happy to go into a points fest with you because they'll outscore you. And most of the time, they're happy to try and win a defensive game and beat you 10-6.
I can't talk about the Rabbitohs attack again, or else people are just going to be saying, get him off the podcast, he says the same thing every week, so I'll keep quiet.
What is
Talking
emotion?
about the bunnies, yeah. I'll keep quiet.
They are happy to play boring. And if you want to throw the ball around, we're better than you at it.
Alex Johnson got a hat-trick again. Last week, I'm sure it was last week, we spoke about him getting try 170. It must have been 2 weeks ago. He's already on 178.
Yeah.
He's climbed up again, hasn't he, in the all-time
Yeah.
try score. I think he's gone up another place, if not another 2.
He's going to end up top of that list, I think.
I think he will because he's not. He's getting on, but he's not old.
No, he's got a good few years
He
left.
still said, a final career point from he'll be playing for New South Wales. He said recently, he says, I know it might be a long shot, there's a lot of talented people in that position, and obviously I don't care,
I've just googled how old he is.
but
28.
28.
He's 28.
But he's just been around a long time,
Yeah.
been around an awful long time. He's got another 5 years.
at least.
If
He's not going to break that record. He's going to smash it
Yeah.
if he stays fit.
he plays 4 or 5 years, without a doubt, he ends up the NRL all-time top try scorer. Gold Coast, they seem to take one step forward, one step back. I know that's not the saying, but they get a bit better, then they fall down, and then they get a bit better, and they fall down again. They don't seem to make continual improvements. In
Good
my
attack
opinion.
in this game, bad defence.
Yeah.
You've got to say for them.
Right, we're going to move over to Shark Park. Cronulla vs Brisbane, probably the game of the round, really, pre-match. and the Broncos win 20 points to 12. Herbie bagging a try.
Yep.
Katoni Staggs bagging a try. They are two serious centres.
Strike power.
Another centre that played Origin last year, Talakai. Didn't even get a look in this year. Some real quality on short. Reynolds kicked Cronulla to death. Played really well. Big win for Brisbane, especially after quite a lot of players backed up from Origin. Big test for Nico Hines this week to show that he can play on that arena, because he's going to have to go to Melbourne, his old club, who have just been battered, and we're going to talk about that in about 10 seconds' time.
Yeah.
But Brisbane doing everything right.
It's a good game, this, yeah.
Big
Good
win
game.
away at Shark.
Big win.
For Brisbane.
They only conceded one penalty in the entire game.
Yeah, they've done well.
Good defensive game.
If you manage to beat the Sharks at Shark Park and you only hold them to 12 points, you've done well.
Yeah.
Because they're a tough team to beat, especially at home, and they do like to put points on. So you beat them by 8 points, 20 points to 12, they'll be very pleased.
Now, this game was 14-14 at half time. The Cowboys have ended up winning 45 points to 20.
Yeah.
A real big statement win for the Cowboys, who we keep saying aren't performing at their best.
Oh, they were this week.
But new signing, Semi Valame.
Yeah, the former Raider. I always liked him at Canberra, but he was just kind of stuck behind some good wingers. Kind of like what you mentioned with Alex Johnston and the Origin level.
Yeah.
Stuck behind some quality wingers for Canberra. I always liked him when he got his chance.
But he scored with his first touch as a Cowboys player. He's
Yep.
third, and then he's about, I think he's 10th.
He scored, yeah.
It must be the shortest amount of tries to
a hat-trick.
to a hat-trick.
A hat-trick in his debut.
It's a strange one with the Cowboys. Thinking a couple of weeks ago they get battered off the Tigers, and then this week they go and batter Melbourne.
Very
It's
weird.
a very strange little.
I think it's like it feels like to me, Super League is this year a lot of parity. A lot of teams can beat each other.
Yeah.
There's no sort of like super dominant force.
Where there used to be Penrith and
I think
Saints.
there's three clear teams.
There's a three, and then-
Penrith, Brisbane.
but then there's an
Rabbitohs.
absolute like gang of all the rest of the teams that could beat anybody.
I think 4 to 13 could all finish top 8. 4 to
I think
14.
you could probably even go a bit further down than that. To
I
be
just
honest,
think,
but
maybe. I don't think the Dogs will. I don't think
It's-
St George will, and I don't
yeah.
think West will.
yeah,
West will give too much of a lead up.
it's good though. I think
But we're
don't
talking
know.
about Origin before and saying should Nico Hines play. They said that he's never played at a big stage and performed on the big stage under pressure. He's got to go to Amy Park. His old team.
yeah,
They have just been embarrassed.
they'll be smarting.
You can imagine what Bellamy was like in that changing room. If Nico can go down there and put a performance in,
Yeah.
he has to play Origin. Right, next game, we've got 2 left. The Roosters versus the Bulldogs. The Roosters winning 25 points to 24.
Another good game. This in
again?
the sunshine.
There's been a lot of players back up from Origin. Not
They often do.
It just feels like an awful lot more than normal.
I think we've just taken a bit more of an interest in the round after Origin this year. Whereas normally we'd watch Origin and then we wouldn't really watch it till Origin
Yeah.
2.
But Adokar getting a double. Mahoney and Pangai Jr. Teddy got a
Yeah.
lot of criticism in Origin.
Answered his critics.
He answered his critics. He went back to playing his simple game, supporting, doing what he does well. They were 24-18 down with 10 minutes left. Suoli scores a try in the corner, kicks the goal, and Luke Keary, clutch again. Drop goal. We'll talk about Golden Point before and how it becomes a drop goal fest. I sort of think with Golden Point, if we didn't have it, we'd still get that excitement of a game being close, 24-24, and teams having a goal at one point.
Well, there were 2 in this round of NRL, weren't there?
I just think it's a bit
That didn't go to Golden Point.
that didn't go to Golden Point and bring the same level of excitement, in my opinion. I just don't.
The young debutant on the wing who scored, the Roosters, Pauga, I think you say his name.
Yeah.
So he'll be pleased with that. They're still rocking with Billy Smith in the centres and Suaalii because Manu's at the 6. So if you were to have said to the Roosters before the start of this season, pick 2, 3, 4 and 5, you
won't be picking that.
your 3/4 line, you wouldn't be picking any of them in that position.
Maybe Suoli.
You'd have Suaalii on the wing though, wouldn't you?
Usually, yeah.
and you'd have Manu in the centres. So they wouldn't have picked any of those four, but they got the win.
Now, last game, St George against Penrith at Penrith. Penrith win 26-18.
Yeah.
But they did it tough. The main guy, Nathan Cleary, was it 15 minutes? Goes off with an injury.
Yeah, this is what we talked about before.
Hamstring problem.
Yeah. I think they needed to win some games without Cleary. Tall bagging a double. There's been question marks about him this season. Obviously, his meter's out of danger, never a question. But there's been a bit of questions about his finishing ability. Now, I think St George did okay. I just don't think they're good enough as a team and as a squad to be able to beat Penrith. They might beat them on a one-off, but they're too dependent on Ben Hunt. He had a bit of a quiet game. I don't know what you think about St George, Lewis. But
Well, it's like I said a couple of weeks ago. I think, I know the game's not played on paper, but if you do put those Penrith players on a sheet of paper and the St George players next to on a sheet of paper, you're thinking, I'm backing Penrith to win. I think just they are struggling for stars, aren't they?
And just the actual salaries of these players.
Yeah.
There's no contest.
it'd be interesting to see how much cap space St George have, because if that squad is at cap limit, I don't know how to find out. So if anyone could tell us, that'd be brilliant. But if them two teams are both at the cap space, someone has to look at what St George are doing wrong.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that is valued.
That's
the
not
same.
a squad that is worth the salary cap.
And I would love to
limit.
know why Ben Hunt's on $3 million a season if they're up to the cap.
Yeah.
Because he has to take 50% of it then.
Yeah.
Right, that wraps up the NRL. We're going to come back very quickly with quick fire predictions and we'll sign off. So thank you. So we're back. Quick fire predictions, okay? First up, the biggest game of them all, Saints Wigan. Lads, do I need to really ask you?
No, we're back in Wigan.
Back in Wigan all the way. We'll move over to Yorkshire, Castleford, Salford. Do Andy Lastman back it up or Salford carry on the roll? Matty?
Salford.
Lewis?
Salford.
It's Salford for me as well.
Double digits.
Now, we're at back in Wigan for Lee versus Hull.
Yeah, nice remind them where they're from.
Yeah, they've won a few games, bring them back down.
WN7's your postcode, lads.
all those advertisements around the edge, they still say WN.
But seriously, two teams doing really, really well in the league. Lee positioned quite high up in fourth now. Hull FC turned a corner maybe, winning 5 or 6 games back to back in ninth. Sat, Lee, Matty, who you win?
I'll go for Hull.
Lewis?
Home advantage gives Lee the win.
I think Lee convincingly.
Convincingly?
I think Hull are going to just have a drop off.
It will happen some
Fair
point.
enough, yeah.
Right, over on Saturday, 5 o'clock kickoff, Warrington versus Huddersfield. Matty?
Yeah, Warrington are going to bounce back.
Lewis, are you back in Huddersfield again?
I'm not, no, because the crap, so I'm going to go Warrington.
Warrington too good for me. I'm going to go Warrington to beat Huddersfield. Okay, into the south of France. Catalans versus Hull KR, probably the game of the round, apart from Wigan Saints, obviously. Matty, who you win?
Well, I'm pinching Lewis's line, so we have to say something different. It's in the south of France, so I'm picking Catalan.
Catalan.
I'm going to go with the league leaders, Catalans. Yeah, couldn't come up with
For the
anything
same
either.
reason as Matty, really. Why I'm backing him.
It's a great opinion, that, innit?
Yeah.
Right, last one. Sunday. Could Wakefield get off the mark against a Leeds side that have lost twice to Castleford? What do you think?
No. Leeds
No.
I'm going to agree. I think we're all back in Leeds there
Leeds.
to put a performance in.
Yeah.
Where's it at?
Does it matter?
No.
Wakefield.
I'm still back in Leeds.
Right. So, as you can tell, we've got some new music after listening to the advice of some of the listeners, which has been provided. We've got this new music.
Copyright free because
Obviously, we've
got permission.
got permission. They're friends of the podcast. It's a band called Falling Frank. Give them a listen on Spotify. But Lewis, it's your mate's band. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, so just to kind of put it in perspective, because obviously we've done this podcast, we got some advice off the music. We were using our old theme tunes that we used to use at the intro and break. this one, like I say, the mayor has given us permission now, so we don't have to worry about that. So it's just a bit of a better way for us, and the intro and music, hopefully you'd agree, is good, you know. But yeah, the Call Falling Frank, they're based in Manchester. They've got like Facebook pages, social media pages.
We'll share all them out.
Yeah, give them a follow, like, or whatever it is. They do gigs if you're around the Manchester area. If you follow them again, they'll post you when they're doing gigs and things like that. So give them a listen if you like the music. Look out for one of the live shows they're doing.
And the song is?
It's the Bantersaurus Rex, it's called. It's give it a listen. It's their new single. They did release an EP as well, which has got some other kind of songs on it. So they've got a couple out there now. If you get them on Spotify, you'll listen. The latest one is the Bantersaurus Rex, based on a real person, based on a real story.
Well, it's don't spoil it.
You all will know a Bantersaurus Rex. If you listen to the lyrics, you'll know it. There will be a Bantersaurus Rex somewhere in your life. He will find you, he will get you, and he will mess you up. As the lead singer says.
Yeah,
Thank you for spoiling the song. Is gone. We've enjoyed using it, but obviously it's not right for a podcast like us to use music like that. So we've got the permission to use this one. We're very pleased
thank
with
you
it.
to the guys at Falling Frank for letting us have
Thank
that.
you.
It's massively appreciated for doing us a favour and helping us out.
So that wraps up this episode. A bit longer than we expected, but obviously a lot gone on this week with the Magic.
Origin.
Everything's happened this week. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll be back next week after Wigan Saints.
Come on, Wigan.